welcome everyone to my Cobra Kai Season 3 review slash deep analysis, where we go through the clip by clip, talking about the various scenes and my thoughts on it, and my overall predictions and deep dive of what I think each scene kind of means, what they did well, and so forth, and some of my thoughts on the characters as well. Uh, if you like what I have to say, if you enjoy the content, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. It really helps with the algorithm. Help me reach that 1K sub. All right, let's get started. So season 3 episode 1 is called Aftermath, obviously referring to the school fight. We start off with this flashback of Miguel in his mind. It's kind of a metaphorical representation of what he's going through. And then we see him wake up here, and then we see them talk about the fight in the news, about karate gangs in schools, and this really has ruined the reputation of karate in the valley, which we'll see. They're gonna have a board meeting about this soon. We have Johnny in this drunken state after coming from the beach. These two individuals want him gone. They're one of the employees, I'm assuming. He has this situation where he's looking at the news of what happened to Miguel, which is being highlighted. This guy right here changes the channel to watch some type of sports game, which pisses Johnny off, leading him to try to beat up these two guys right here. And then they end up beating him because Johnny's drunk and not in the full state of mind. And he ends up in prison. And we come back with Amanda and Daniel in this situation where they're in the school for the board meeting discussing what they're going to do in terms of karate and in terms of school policy. Their business here isn't doing too well because having the term kick the competition isn't really useful when your student literally kicks someone off the balcony. So they're struggling in terms of their business as a result of the school fight. We have this snowflake counselor with her stupid, it's so cringy. Some of the policies, I don't know if the writers are doing this on purpose to make fun of some of the initiatives the schools come up with, because some of the stuff they come up with at school is ridiculous. Like hugs, like something about hugging, and hold on, I forget what it's called. Let me see what it is. That neckbeard teacher attacked the kid. They're talking about Sting right here. And you have people asking questions, how do we know this won't happen again? We hear, and someone says that to Daniel, they heard he was the bully type of, and they basically come in all strong, trying to do something, say something, trying to defend themselves, and then everyone just kind of shuts them down. And so then they eventually start asking the school what they're going to do. And, Daniel's here trying to say you can't really, generalize karate without context of what happened, right? Which is kind of true. I'm a little bit surprised, like this extreme type of reaction due to one incident. Only there were guns, right? But, it is what it is. It makes sense within the context of the story. Karate is kind of the center of the world here. The parents start attacking or going after Daniel, and the principal trying to calm them down. So this right here is a little bit of an Easter egg. So he's like, this individual's like, don't get all high and mighty, little so you taught them that Miyagi crap. So obviously it's Miyagi. He says Miyagi. This is kind of an Easter egg to when Daniel first said Mr. Miyagi's name. He said Miyagi, Mr. Miyagi, and Mr. Miyagi corrected him. This is kind of a callback to that. So we have here Johnny's in jail. Well, okay, you need to see that. And this cop just comes in. I don't know who he is. He's just a cop. And basically he has an interaction with Johnny. He's seen Johnny in jail before. And he basically mentions the interaction that Robbie's life shouldn't be over. And that, the Miguel is dead. And Johnny's like, Miguel's dead? He's like, well, if you don't wake up from a coma, what are you going to, you might as well be dead. We come back with Sam. She's a little bit scarred, looking at this scar that Tori gave her. She has an interesting arc. She has one of the better arcs. I would say the best one out of all 3 seasons. She is kind of the center and kind of the cause a lot of the issues we see happening between Cobra Kai, between Miguel and Robbie. Even that school fight is her fault for kissing Miguel at the party. But she has an interesting arc that we'll get back to in future episodes. Related to, let's say, a good parallel between this and Karate Kid 3. So I'll just leave it at that. She's finally going back to school after serving a 2-week suspension. That was another reason why her parents kind of went there. Okay, let's see. Here we have a reintroduction to all our beloved characters from Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai. They're in there looking at, The freshman females are kind of making fun of Hawk for getting beat up by Dimitri, and they give Dimitri a high, and he gets popular. Intense stare down, flashback, and then this is the Snowflake counselor. I won't call her Snowflake. Miss Snowflake, don't you have somewhere to be? And then we have a reintroduction of Jasmine coming back from her summer break, I guess, seeing a whole change in dynamics of the school. Have the kids know karate now, and so she's gonna have an interesting arc too, kind of a redemption arc, because she gets a taste of her own medicine type of situation. Sam comes back. You have police and security checking things. These kids are teasing her. She comes back and she has this panic attack after having a flashback, and she ends up leaving school basically. And then you have Daniel here at the car shop, struggling business, trying to look for Robbie. And he's been hired back because he was there for the family when Sam was hurt. So, the excuse is, yeah, he did this, but he definitely cares for the family. So he's back. And he's a lot less annoying, a lot less, he's a lot more. His character's definitely improved this season, I would say. And he's still funny, though. But they notice here that one of the cars is missing, one of their 1995 vans. And basically, Robbie stole that one, basically, I guess. And he kind of knew that they wouldn't notice this, because it's basically not worth that much. Okay. There, Johnny is here at the hospital to kind of meet Miguel. We're back at flashback, seeing Miguel struggle. His mom is here, worried for him. And I really like Miguel's hair. I don't know why. Like, we're seeing him with this type of hair fighting just gives it a separate feeling, a type of mature feeling. Kind of like he's struggling to survive. I don't know how else to describe it. You have his family giving him support. Johnny's trying to get in, but he can't get in, and no one can get in except family. So he tries to impersonate a doctor, which we'll see in a moment. Daniel's here looking for it, and he finds the GPS here, but Robbie took it out, and that was pretty smart. I mean, Robbie's not a dumb kid. He's pretty street smart. There is one place he tries to impersonate a doctor, which fails. This guy's like, you're not a doctor. So he gets an injury to be allowed into the hospital emergency ward so he can sneak in to see Miguel. He comes here thinking it's Robbie's here, but he actually finds Sam, who left school. And she just can't, because she's very much traumatized from that fight. It had a lot of guilt as well. And here she says, like, basically, when you're a girl and you fight and you kick butt, but they think you're crazy. They think you're not cool, especially if you're a guy, which is true. It's clear and true to it. And that face, look at that face. That face of guilt, fear. It's hey, you kind of caused that fight, girl. I'm just, anyway. And Daniel also owns up his failures. It's not for him and Johnny, which is true. He failed Robbie as well, which we'll get to. Like, I do blame Robbie here a little bit, and we'll get to this when I get to episode 2 in a moment. But basically here, Johnny's here apologizing to Miguel, encouraging him to get up, which kind of has an epic moment of him fighting. You got to keep fighting, echoing in his mind. So he's getting stronger. He's fighting back finally. And now she's like, only family is allowed here, so he leaves. He comes here to meet Johnny because he wants to work with him to find Robbie. Instead finds Kreese. It's a shame what happened to school. And he basically says, basically taunts that, because of what happened with Daniel, what Daniel did with the Miyagi Nemus now being dragged through the mud, and that's really hurt. And then he taunts him saying that, that little guy whooped your butt like multiple times. And Kreese does a little bit of foreshadowing that they're going to fight eventually. So basically she's back at school. She confronts the girls with a little bit of strength and moves on from there. Here they team up, find Robbie. You have Miguel wake up at the end of the episode. There we go. Oops. I hope I don't get copyright strike. So the second episode is called Nature versus Nurture, which we're kind of see here. This is a flashback of Kreese. So the twist here is you think this is Kreese, but in fact that's actually Marco's son, but he doesn't play Kreese. He plays just another character. So a bit of a twist. This guy right here is Kreese. He's Kreese. Right now he's Kreese. He's actually a good guy. He has a lot of humanity. He isn't the Kreese we know. He likes the girl here, but obviously the girl's with him. They're both kind of a jerk. We can use you out there in Vietnam. This is about, him going to Vietnam and things like this. They're taunting him. And he actually thinks of joining the war. This is just leading up to his war. And then he trips him and he falls. He keeps going. And then here he says weakness is unacceptable. He showed weakness in this flashback. And so we kind of see throughout, these flashbacks what Kreese is kind of, how he became who he is, basically. And you see the Cobra Kai students here, and then we get to the credit. And Miguel wakes up, his mom's trying to encourage him and whatnot. He's struggling, he can't really move. And he wants to know where Sensei is. And this right here, this relationship is really hard of the show between him and Johnny. So they're teaming up, trying to find Robbie. They come to this rehabilitation center where his mom is, trying to figure out what Robbie might be, because she usually is his mom, and Robbie will probably contact her. And so here Kreese has a little test. Kreese does a lot of cutting. I don't know how smart that is business-wise, but he does a little test of who has the Cobra Kai quality, and if you don't, you get kicked out. So he gives them a mouth and gives them a mouse to basically feed the mouse, give the mouse a name, create a bond with the mouse, and then feed it to the cobra, the snake, which he refuses to do, and he gets kicked out. And with Diaz out, we're going to get a new champion, etc. And then we get a little bit of insight into Tori's life. She's pretty poor. She lives here with this scummy landlord, talking about rent. Basically, he tries to get her to, give him some, if you will. Tries to get some favor to avoid rent, and she kind of basically kicks his butt for now. But this is going to come back. This creates a lot of stress for her because she has to make rent. And so they come to this jail to see Robbie's old friend, to try to figure out who he is. They kind of help him figure it out. Doctors check up on Miguel, and we see Miguel hearing that maybe he won't ever recover, which, obviously he's going to recover. Come on, you can't have a show without Miguel and Robbie. They have nice banter here, and this kind of shows you, they really have a lot more in common than you would think. Okay. So Kreese comes here to Tori's house to see what her situation is. And he finds out that, the landlord is really creating an issue for her. She has to make rent, so she can't come to karate. Kreese obviously wants her to join karate because she is one of his top students. And so he really helps Tori out in this situation where you see a flashback. So you see a situation here, you see a flashback on chapter about the trash. You see this guy bullying the girl and him trying to defend her and fight them both, gets his ass kicked, but then he starts fighting back. I don't know where he learned to fight like that. But anyways, have a little car chase. So while they're looking for Robbie, they find Robbie's car with these mechanics who drive off, and they chase him. They have a little Need for Speed type of race, and then they have a showdown here, and then they whoop some butt. Not much to see. Obviously, he kind of takes it too far, and they kind of break up again. It's kind of this big thing. He almost tries to kill this guy, and Daniel kind of backs him up, like, "Yo, chill, bro, chill." And so they both kind of break up a little bit again. Takes his car and goes. And you have here Kreese come to the landlord, teach him a lesson, about to cut off his fingers, freaking psycho, and to leave her alone and make sure the rent is not due either. So now Tori's safe from making rent and from being harassed by this creepy ass landlord. Kind of like what we saw in the flashback earlier. Johnny comes back to Miguel to face him while he's awake. And Miguel's like, "Yo, I followed everything you taught me, and this led to me. It led me to this." And Johnny doesn't have an answer, so Miguel asks him to leave. And he does. In this situation, this is really interesting. You have Robbie coming looking like a bum. Meet his mom. Now the thing about Robbie, the way Daniel failed Robbie is when Sam was in Johnny's house, he kind of assumed the worst and kind of quote-unquote abandoned Robbie in that situation. If it was Mr. Miyagi would be more calm, more understanding, trying to figure out what's going on. But because of his animosity towards Johnny and just assuming the worst, it led to him kind of breaking up with Robbie, if you will. And that kind of led him down that other road, right? That wrong road. If that didn't happen, who knows what would have happened in the school fight. And you see this happen multiple times, with him. First, when he found out that he was Johnny's son, and then again near the end of season 2. And so now you have this situation. But at the same time, it's also Robbie's fault. Daniel tries to comfort him rather than being mature. I mean, think about it. If he has your back, this guy with money, he's telling you to turn yourself in, go to Julie, you're gonna have an easier type of time versus if you ran and they caught you, you'll be out in like a few months, dude. Like, be smart. Keep your head down, stay in there for a few months, come back. Cause he's out by December anyway, maybe late November, early December anyway. So that's all he had to do, but he doesn't understand it. He's from the streets. He has certain influences most of his life. He didn't have a good father, so obviously he didn't have that mental maturity to think about these things. So he feels betrayed. Now he's betrayed. Like I said, Daniel failed him to an extent, but here it's really on Robbie, right? He can't keep blaming the sensei. I'm not really about that philosophy of there's no such thing as bad students, only bad teachers. Now that's true to an extent, but in other circumstances, when you have context and situations outside of the normative idea of the teacher, and you have like parents who are the first teachers, and they don't do their job properly, it's not really on you as that structural teacher in that building or in that dojo, right? That's not really on you. And at a certain point, it comes down to the individual and their will and their willingness to understand and forgive and mature and take a chance, right? This is a smart move by Daniel. The sentence will be much lighter, exactly, versus being there for years. Dude, you've been in there for a few months. No, I can't. Why can't you? You'll come back out. You'll get a GED. You'll go back to school or something. Like, he'll help you out. And this is the only part I disagree with. He failed him, but you then continue to allow yourself to be failed, in my opinion. And so he gets arrested. Nichols comes. And this, because, she and obviously now sees Kreese as a father figure who helped her out. So she's going to be loyal to him to the end at this point. He basically helped her out in a huge way. And then you have a flashback of him being a hero, and her and him and this girl getting together now, and giving a good speech of there's no heroes or villain, there's just weak and strong. And that's kind of the end of season. That's the end of episode 2, Nature versus Nurture. Kind of like, are you good or bad based on the way you're raised or just the way your nature is, right? You see this with Robbie. Is he good or bad? And clearly in his situation, it's based on how he's raised, not just who he is. We see when Yuzumi Miyagi-Do, he has a sense to be good. And in other situations with Kreese, he was nurtured, if you will, by society to be kind of evil, kind of be in this type of situation. Same thing with Tori, right? I think within the nature of humans, they have a nature to be good, right? With very rare cases of mental illness, but it's really that nurture aspect, that experience that kind of changes us. But like I said, that's a deeper debate for another day. But anyways, this is the end of the episode 2. This is where the review ends. If you like anything I had to say, if you want more, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. I'll come back with episode 3 and 4 next time. I might do episode 3 and then do 3 and 4 and 5 because they're both the Okinawa episodes. But anyways, have a good one, everyone. Peace.